Hi, welcome to Tales Beyond the Grave and welcome back to another video. And I'm here today in Warrington Cemetery, and I'm here today to find the grave of an absolute superstar of his time during the 30s and the 40s. Great entertainer, singer, on stage, on films, entertaining the troops, everything. So I'm here today to find the grave of George Formby. So George's showbiz career spanned over a 40 years period from 1921 up until 1961. He appeared in 21 films and he also cut over 230 records. Also hundreds of stage performances and 2 Royal Command performances as well. Now George he entertained over 3 million troops during World War II as well. And in 1939, George was the most popular and highest paid entertainer in the UK, and he earned over £100,000 a year, and that, to put into perspective, is today's equivalent of £8 million a year. Now, his secret of his success was a combination of his unique talent, his personality, and his ability to be able to switch from stage to TV to music, to playing instruments. Now, the driving force behind George was his wife Beryl, and she managed him not only on stage but his life, what he wore, things like that. She managed him and she projected him to the heights of stardom. So I'll tell you a bit more about the famous George Formby, and he's buried just over here. And I'm going to take you a bit around the cemetery. I'll tell you more about his life, because he led an interesting life, did George, from the day he was born. So I'll take you around the cemetery, I'll show you a few interesting facts, and I'll take you over and see George Formby's grave. So, born George Hoy Booth, 26th of May 1904 in Wigan, and he was the eldest of 7 children. And George was born blind, but his vision returned during a violent coughing fit when he's only a few months old. His father, George Sr., was already a famous music hall star, and he didn't want any of his children to follow him on stage. Now, young George didn't do too well at school, and he was removed from formal education age 7, and he was sent off to become an apprentice jockey. And he rode his first race, his professional race, at the age of just 10, weighing only 3 stone and 13 pounds. And when his father died suddenly, he in 1921, encouraged by his mother, George decided to try his hand at comedy on the stage. Now, in 1922, while playing a role on stage, he met a young dancer called Beryl Ingram, and he quickly fell in love with Beryl, and the couple married in 1924. And soon she began to manage his career and his life, and she pushed him on the road to stardom. And after a few years playing his trade on the stage, he met a fellow actor who played the banjo ukulele, and he sold it to George for £2.10. George practiced and practiced until he mastered playing the ukulele in his own technique, and he added it to his act. Now, in 1934, George made his first film called Boots, Boots, and a contract to make 11 films negotiated by Beryl, and he soon became the most popular entertainer in the British Isles, earning around £100,000 a year, which is equivalent today of 8 million. And he also signed another contract with Columbia Pictures worth another £500,000. Now, in 1946, George was recognised in the King's Birthday Honours list and was awarded the OBE for his work on stage and for charity. And George was also popular. He entertained not only in England, he entertained all over the world, and he once performed and entertained to over 3 million troops during World War II. Now, in 1951, he was offered a part in the musical Zip Goes a Million, and he took it on tour. But 6 months into the run, George suffered an heart attack, which caused him to leave the show. And after 18 months of recuperation, he began to ease his way back into one night shows, seaside specials, and also pantomime too. Around about 1960, George made his last record called Happy Go Lucky Me, and in December of that year he made his last TV programme for the BBC called The Friday Show. The show was an interview and a confessional as well, where George admitted that Beryl was a driving force behind his success and stardom, and that he couldn't read or write, and he didn't even understand music. On Christmas Eve 1960, Beryl passed away in a hospital suffering from leukemia. At the time, George was in pantomime, and he returned to the show immediately after the funeral of Beryl. Now, controversially, 3 weeks after Beryl's death, he announced his engagement to a young school teacher called Pat Howson, and the wedding was planned for early spring. Unfortunately, George suffered yet another heart attack, and although he appeared to be in recovery, George died at Preston St Joseph's Roman Catholic Hospital on the 6th of March 1961. So sadly, George passes away, and to put it into perspective, this guy was the biggest earning star. He was famous all over the globe at this point, and with his death came great sadness. A lot of people mourned his death. Now, George is buried here in Warrington Cemetery, and I'm just about to take you to his grave now. On the day of his funeral, there was a reported 100,000 people lined the streets of Warrington to pay the respects of probably one of Britain's greatest ever entertainers, on stage, on film, music halls, troops, entertaining the troops during the war. So I'm just about to take you now over to George Formby's grave, and he's buried in the family plot, which is just over there. It's a big white stone, and he's buried with his family, and his father is the head of the family, so he's on there as George Formby, and then George Formby is underneath him, and I'm going to take you over to his grave now, which is over here. So we're just approaching the lovely memorial for George Formby, and it's just on your left. If you ever come into Warrington Cemetery, if you turn left I've just shown you where the church and the fountain is, and you'll see the grave of George Formby, which is here, and it stands out. And a lot of people think that the face on it is George, but that is George's father. And I'll take you right over to it, and you can see. And his mum is buried there as well. His mum lived till being 102-year-old. So this is the grave of George Formby. Fantastic white monument, and it's saying, in loving remembrance of George Formby, in brackets, comedian, died 8th of February 1921, aged 45. After life's fitful fever, he sleeps well. Just below it is who we know as the entertainer George Formby in the films, and it says also George Formby, OBE, son of above, who died on 6th of March 1961, aged 56 years old, a tradition nobly upheld. At the bottom it shows his mother, Eliza Ann, devoted wife of George Senior, who died the 31st of July, I think that's 1981, maybe 91, aged 102-year-old. And then someone's left a ukulele for him. Well, George Formby was one of my heroes, really, when I was a kid, watching the black and white films. He made me laugh. The TT races, things like that. He just made me laugh, and it's a big honour for me to be here today to pay my respects to George Formby, who entertained thousands, if not thousands, millions of people, not only in the UK but worldwide. And while I'm here at the grave of George Formby, I just want to say thank you for your entertaining me as a child, and entertaining the people who loved your films, loved your stage performances, and loved your music. So rest in peace, George Formby.
leaning on a lamp. I know I look just like a tramp, or you may think I'm hanging round to steal a cow. But no, I'm not a crook, and if you think that's what I look, I'll tell you why I'm here and what my motives are. I'm leaning on the lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes by. I don't know if she'll get away, she doesn't always get away, but anyhow I know that she'll try. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes by. There's no other girl I could wait for, but this one I'd break any date for. I won't have to ask what she's late for. She wouldn't leave me flat, she's not a girl like that. Oh, she's absolutely beautiful and marvelous and wonderful, and anyone can understand why. I'm leaning on a lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady passes by. I'm leaning on the lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes by. I don't know if she'll get away, she doesn't always get away, but anyhow I know that she'll try. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes, but I did bum bum, there's no.
Personally, I always feel a bit of sadness when I come to visit a grave. I love doing graveyards, cemeteries, churchyards, things like that, but when I come to do a grave of a person who entertained me as a child, made me laugh, I remember belly aching laughing at him, I always feel a bit of sadness when I finally find the resting place. But it's a great memorial to him. He lived a great life, albeit young, he died young, but he did entertain millions, and that's what he's going to be remembered for. So this is just my tribute to George Formby and all the entertainment and laughs he gave me as a child. So this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Warrington Cemetery to see the grave of George Formby, and I threw in a couple of interesting graves as well, so I hope you like them. So give us a thumbs up if you like them, share if you would, and you can also subscribe. You don't have to do, it's entirely up to yourself, but if you do, it just encourages me to come out and do more videos which I think you might like. Now, talking about videos, I'm going on to my next one. Not got a clue where I'm going, so the best thing to say is I'll see you when I get there. See you on the next one. Bye.